All right, it's 6:30. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Mitch, roll call, please.
Alphon. Here. Dr. Melhouse.
Here.
Dr. Nystrom.
Here.
Stephen.
Here.
Richard.
Here. Okay, anything for recognition of visitors, Julie?
Nope.
Consideration of the agenda, anything to add or change?
No changes.
Questions on the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Hearing and delegations, is there anybody here that would like to address the board? Yeah. Under routine business. Let's see here. Questions or comments? Consent agenda.
Move to accept the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So I think we're on to number 3 discussion items, Hancock Road Extension Project. We have DLR here.
Yep.
Hello. Good to see everybody. Hope you had a good summer so far. It's quickly fading. Yeah, thanks for having us tonight. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Hancock Drive extension here. So with me tonight is Mike Danberg. And we're just going to kind of give you an overview later on. There's 2 action items for you to establish a bid date and a public hearing to get this taken care of. So we thought it'd be prudent just to kind of give you an overview, just to show you, I mean, obviously point A to point B, but we can talk about any logistics and overall schedule and things like that. So
Okay.
Mike, take it
Thanks,
away.
Eric.
Yeah.
So I'll take over here. I'm not gonna, there's like 59 plan sheets here. I'm just gonna hit a couple high level things that I think are important to cover with you folks. And so just the cover sheet, again, we see the project location, and we'll just kind of zip through here. And just as a plan and profile of the paving, just as a reminder, we're tying in at that west end. And here you see those initial 2 driveways to this development, and then the 3rd driveway, and then we cruise on down to Corporal Snedden, basically the rest of the way. As we get down to Corporal Snedden, which is on the east side of this plan sheet, you'll see the road widens, and that was part of that initial report by MSA. So we're actually adding a lane here. So we have a left turn lane and a right turn lane on the Corporal Snedden. And so you see that road widening, and we're following that. Kind of the first thing to talk about, just to give you an update, I know the right turn lane conversation has kind of continued throughout this process. MSA in their report, recommended that we do it. There's been some discussion, and the plan currently has that right turn lane in the project. And so that's what you see here. So this Corporal Snedden, and we're adding this right turn lane. So it's a southbound right turn lane onto Hancock Drive. And the reason why we wanted to hit on this a little bit is it presented some difficulty with the roadway right away, with the Pease Creek drainage and the roadway ditch. It was just kind of an interesting design challenge. So this red rectangle you see here is the new box culvert that will go under Hancock Drive, that will contain the flow of Pease Creek and the roadway ditch. We had a little trouble with that box culvert just going through DNR regulation and getting the drainage area and the modeling. It was interesting to go through that, but it's a 14x6 box, so it's pretty large for a Pease Creek drainage area, and that was part of the interesting thing going through with the DNR. And we ended up on a couple of different calls with the DNR to get to this point. So we're set on that. One thing else I wanted to point out is that as a product of this right turn lane, there's this little squiggly line here, and it's hard to read, but basically with the addition of this right turn lane and the location of Pease Creek, which is right here, so close to Corporal Snedden, we're ended up putting, basically it's a steel sheet pile. So as you can imagine, they drive sheet pile into the ground, probably 20 feet deep, and there'll be about 6 feet of this steel sheet pile sticking out of the ground. And we have to do that to protect the drainage way of Pease Creek that comes down through here, and be able to get our right turn lane and the the necessary safety grading for that right turn lane for people that would exit the roadway. So it's an additional cost based on the situation we're in with Pease Creek being so close to Corporal Sneddon. I just wanted to point that out. This little red thing, we've got to extend the culvert, but this grading to get it all to fit into this right away, we ended up with this steel sheet pile, which is just a little unusual, but it's something we've done at areas like this in the past. Just adds a little additional cost. I'll kind of keep rolling through this and then we can kind of open it up to general questions you may have from an engineering standpoint. So I just like this view. It kind of shows that overall with the aerial on of, the school project, the extension of the road, and coming down to Corporal Sneddon. And you can see Pease Creek coming through here, with this aerial on. And so again, it does kind of get right next to Corporal Sneddon, right at where we're tying into the roadway. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to hit on, get to that. So all these sheets are just different storm sewer water main plan sheets that the contractor will use to bid and build the project. Maybe just hit a little on this real quickly. So this green down in the profile and green up here, we had several discussions throughout about sanitary sewer and how we serve any future sites that may happen to the east or to the south. Between the city and the school, we talked about it several times, and it's logistically with elevations and trying to gravity sanitary sewer, it's difficult. So we kind of settled on extending the sanitary sewer that's serving the school as far as we could east, which isn't very far because the grade comes down, and we're going to stub a pipe out into school property so that in the future, if any development happened in that lot east of the school, we at least have the option to force main or pump sanitary sewer up to this point and not have to tear into Hancock Drive. And so we were just looking for a way to ensure the city and the school that we weren't going to have to tear the road up in 4 years if some development came along that we weren't thinking about. So I think it was important to hit on that. We've logistically given us an option now for the future for sanitary sewer to serve whatever site we're doing. The other thing I wanted to hit on a little bit, and we just recently talked about this. So west of the school site, so as a part of the school project, we have to install sidewalk. It was a city school arrangement. So we're installing sidewalk the entire length of Hancock Drive down to Corporal Sneddon, not tying into Corporal Sneddon, but it's there in case anything in the future would happen. Well, there was the one lot west of the school property, the residential property that didn't have sidewalk. And so that's what this plan sheet shows is we'll extend the sidewalk down to Jackson so that now any kind of sidewalk system to the new school is at least tied into what's there residentially to the west. And so, we talked to the property owner. We've discussed this. We've got, there's a little bit of work to do with some driveways here, but we can get that sidewalk extended over to Jackson. And really that's all about trying to find an accessible route for the kids and to make sure we have accessible ramps for the kids. So here's a picture of that box culvert. Again, I don't know how much detail we got go into that, but it just shows what that is. And then cross section. So really it's 52 plan sheets. I don't know how detailed we want to go into them. I wanted to hit on a few of the kind of important items in our minds anyway. With that, I guess I would just open it up. Questions?
And schedule wise, we're on track here. So as I said, you have on your agenda later to establish a bid date and a public hearing, but we'd issue these on September 7th to the community and then take bids on the 29th, award on the 10th. And what that does is gives those that want to the opportunity this fall yet to get some concrete structures and things for the sewers and other items in place if they so want to start. And then continue on in the springtime, March, April timeframe, and work up to that point in July in order to get the school open, because we know that that's a critical point. And really there'd be essentially 2 completion dates there. One would be for the road itself, so the actual traffic, but for seeding and all the grading that happens on either side of that, you can't seed in July. It'll all die like it is out there now. So that would extend into September to give that contractor a time to grade and have that seed established during the seeding season. So those are just some schedule items.
Who is MSA?
MSA was a consulting company that both the city and the school hired to do a infrastructure study back during the design of the building.
I guess my question is, I can understand having the left turn lane on Hancock coming on to Corpus. I think that makes a lot of sense to keep traffic flowing. But the southbound right turn lane, I'm having a little bit more problems comprehending because there's no stop sign there or anything. So people can just go straight there to turn. And if anything, the biggest concern I would have be traffic coming north and having to make a left turn onto Hancock. So I'm trying to understand in my mind why we're putting that right-hand turn lane in there when there's Corporal Snedden's not gonna be stopping. Can't remember if the speed limit is 35 or 50 along there. But they're not gonna be stopping, so why do we need that left turn lane? Because if anything, that's gonna cause more of a hassle when, if you got a person coming from the north, wanting to make a left turn, then you get that turn lane, it might block vision, and then you're gonna hit someone the turn. So I'm just trying to understand that reason. Are you a civil engineer?
Yep. So with any kind of turn lane warrant, so everything we do has a warrant. So whether traffic signals, turn lanes, the amount of lanes we're gonna do. So when MSA did that original report, we have to make assumptions on where traffic is coming from and where it's going from our new development. And so they looked at a certain amount going west and a certain amount coming from the east with our new Hancock Drive extension. Well, when you're thinking about who's going to be coming to the school, the perception was, or the estimate was, that the traffic would be people from the north in town not wanting to go down Hancock Drive and go through that area, that they would go around an easier traffic route and come southbound on Corporal Snedden and turn right onto Hancock. And so based on that traffic simulation, or what we estimate people are going to do from a percentage of how they're going to get here, we then look at what the DOT has for traffic or for turn lane warrants. And so the issue with like this right turn lane and why it's been kind of a gray area is it's warranted based on the assumptions we've made or MSA made for traffic. And so when you do that warrant as an engineer, it says, okay, you need a major right turn lane, which major means, and you can see it's really long. So a normal turn lane would be 100 feet long and 150-foot taper. This thing is 500 feet long, so it's really long. And the reason why that is we need people to get off Corporal Snedden and decelerate in the turn lane. If you make a short one, they have to decelerate in Corporal Snedden, so people behind them now are impacted by that movement. So the warrant's there. It says the traffic's going to be there for people wanting to turn right onto Hancock to get to that school. And so by engineering standard, we have to install the right turn lane.
Oh, the right turn lane is on Corporal Snedden.
Yes.
And Hancock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's,
So coming off of Hancock, there's a right turn lane and a left turn lane on Hancock onto Corporal Snedden. And then on Corporal Snedden coming south, there's a right turn lane to get onto Hancock.
Picture's been confusing because some of them have been north on the right side and some have had north upright. So it's been.
We're good at making the plans confusing.
Living on the east side, I can't imagine not having a turn lane there. Just going out that way, I also would go around if I was coming in that way. I've been shocked from, you hit the armory right there and you go past it, it turns 55 at the armory. So cars are driving 60, 65 miles an hour when they hit the top of that peak. And every morning, every evening, the traffic is backed up from the highway all the way past the road that goes to the east up by Fairway and all the way down that thing. I've been surprised that they haven't talked about adding a stoplight on the highway at that intersection. And I think with school traffic at some point down the road, that could be a consideration too, even for a stoplight at that intersection.
And there is, you bring up a good point. There is a hill north of where this is going to try into Corporal Snedden. So there's a sight distance, as you come over the hill. If there's a bunch of people that have to slow down on Corporal Snedden, now you have that potential. Whereas we can get them off into the right turn lane and let them decel in that turn lane, we're avoiding, helping minimize that impact of that hill and sight distance.
but definitely understand why on Corporal Snedden. I think it was coming off of Hancock why you might need a right turn lane there. But from Corporal Sneddon,
Yes.
definitely.
The Hancock, the 3 lanes or the 2 lanes exiting Hancock onto Corporal Sneddon.
Get one person trying to turn left with all the traffic, it can be sitting for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, that's
Probably it.
that left turner is gonna have a harder time getting onto Corporal Sneddon, where the right turners are gonna have a little more freedom.
Like coming out of the middle school, it gives you some lanes, something to go right, something to go straight that allows 2 lanes of traffic out.
Yep, makes sense.
And I do, you brought up a good point earlier too, Doc, the potential, and depending on what happens with traffic, is again, when we do these kind of developments, we have to project and estimate where we think people are gonna use the system. We're not 100% accurate all the time, right? We have to be able to monitor that. We're gonna monitor the situation as a school. Parents are gonna let you know instantly when something's not happening like they want. But anything that happens to increase traffic from maybe another community that is going to be on 30 and come north, that left turn lane will become an issue eventually, potentially, because that movement now will become the one that's holding up all that traffic. As you're setting in that through lane, wanting to turn left on Hancock, people are going to stack behind you. So I think just as a futuristic conversation, I think there's potential for that to become something in the future. Right now, it's not warranted, right? Because we don't believe anybody's going to be coming from the south, or that many people from the south to drop their kid off at the school system. But in the future, it certainly could.
Yeah, it could be. Well, especially coming home after work.
Yeah.
Coming from Ames,
That's what your problem could be.
that will be an issue.
So coming from Ames to pick the kid up at school at or whatever time.
Hopefully those will be spread out for the after-school programming, so those won't be coming as fast. That's what we have to guess right now.
What's the scope for domestic water in this project, water mains?
So the scope for the water main is we're installing water main from the west end all the way to the east side of Corporal Sneddon.
Okay.
So let me see if I can find that. So that blue line on this plan sheet is the water main. And so basically, and we're working through some scenarios now to get the school tied in and where between the school project and the roadway project, where all this works, we're working through that. But basically we'll then extend this blue line, on every plan sheet, you see it all the way east of Corporal Sneddon. And there is another, well, I was in the wrong sheet. There is another component of cost here, and I'll show you that in the profile. So here, as we get to Corporal Sneddon, that water main's got to get underneath that box culvert. And so you see down on the bottom view, that blue line. And so the plan right now is because we don't want to tear Corporal Sneddon up, detour traffic, cost, the industry has gotten really good at directional drilling. Any kind of pressure pipe, we basically would directional drill versus tear roads up like Corporal Sneddon. So we do have to directional drill low enough to get under that new box culvert, and then we'll tie in on both sides of that to the new main. So on the east side of this picture, we're tying into the existing 12-inch that runs on the east side of Corporal Sneddon. So now that whole system's looped. And so, from a city standpoint, shutdowns, any kind of breakage, now you have a loop system. And so if something were to, something were to happen west of the school, water main wise, now the school shut down because it's not looped. Now it's looped. And so you get water from both directions.
And then outside of this, we are coordinating with Alliant Energy. So Alliant Energy will be the ones that will be extending any roadway lighting along the street there. So we've been having in contact with them and their engineering department. So they're working through what those calculations will be right now. And that'll be outside of this because they install and design their own work. So
yeah, they'll come in after we're done. Otherwise it's chaotic.
right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
You can leave it there if you want.
All right, on to action items. Number one, resolution appointing paying agent, bond registrar, transfer agent, approving the paying agent, bond registrar and transfer agent agreement. Execute the same. Mitch or Julie?
I
Yep.
mean, it says what we're doing, but yeah.
Yep, so the next four items are, they are, after our bond sale last week, the week before last. It is just setting, the paying agent, bond registrar and transfer agent, which we use UMB Bank. So recommend approving that.
So I move, on paying agent, registrar, transfer agent, can I do these all at once, or we have to do every one individually?
Each four separate.
Each four, okay. So I move the resolution appointing paying agent, bond, registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent, bond, register, and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of the same.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Mitch, roll call, please.
Elfon,
Yes.
Dr. Malhouse. Yes. Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes. Motion carries.
Next item is number 2 out of the 4. This is for the tax exempt certificate, to be approved and placed on file.
I move the approval of the tax exemption certificate.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? Mitch, roll call, please.
Elfon,
Yes.
Dr. Malhouse.
Yes.
Dr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes. All right, number 3, approval of continuing disclosure certificate.
Yep, same as just approving it and keeping it on file.
Move the approval of the continuing disclosure certificate.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mitch?
Elfon,
Yes.
Dr. Malhouse.
Yes.
Dr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes. And number 4, resolution authorizing the terms of issuance and providing for and securing the payment of school infrastructure sales, service, and use tax revenue bonds.
Yep, so this is the final motion approving the sale of the bond and then that it's sales tax dollars and then providing payment for those bonds. So
I'll move resolution authorizing providing for the terms of issuance and securing the bond of $6,230,000 school infrastructure sales, service, and use revenue bond series 2022B of the Boone Community School District, State of Iowa, under the provisions of chapters 423E and 423F of the Iowa Code, and providing for a method of payment of said bonds.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mitch, roll call, please.
Elfon,
Yes.
Dr. Malhouse. Yes. Dr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes. All right, number 5, tenfold activities entrance bathroom project presentation.
Okay, so we have representatives from Tenfold back, so we're going to go ahead and let them come forward and share with you.
On the hot seat.
Yep.
Let's run.
That's where the mic is for people to be able to hear you that are like online.
Oh,
So, yeah.
nice. Sorry, clean. Yeah, this is.
Okay, hi, we're excited to be back here today to cover the Boone Community School District activities, entrance and restroom, the design development process. So last time I presented the schematic design, and today we've got further development in the design development process where we'll just do a quick overview of the design and some additional progress we've made to get the construction documents to a point where then Chad can share with us costs for that. So I forgot to say my name. My name's Alicia Wilkinson. I'm a senior registered interior designer at Tenfold, and Kelsey and I will start off with the first part of the presentation.
So these are all items that Alicia presented at the schematic phase.
But to review, the overall goal is just to elevate the activity space. And with the renovation of the gym, we just want this space to also show that school pride and create a welcoming and space for the community and visitors. So one item is to update the signage, wayfinding, branding, and logos to have a fresher look. Because this is an entry to multiple activity spaces, wayfinding is important for the auditorium, pool, and restrooms. This is a space where there's many awards and trophies being displayed. So we've created spaces for the arts in addition to the athletics, digital displays, and team photos. Upon entry, there's a checkpoint or ticket counter to facilitate the use of the space. Another item is to create a new and fresh look for the concession stand. And since the restrooms in this space are highly trafficked, the goal is to get those up to par with the rest of the space. So for the plans, we've got a floor plan and reflected ceiling plan, and you'll see in this key plan what area of the high school we're dealing with. So this is the activity space. And you'll notice that this corridor connects all of those activity spaces. So that's the main focus of ours. And on the right here, this is the reflected ceiling plan, and you'll see this light fixture that is continues through the whole hallway as a wayfinding element. This is a view of the entry. So we've got a balance of red and green and signage and logos to enhance the school pride. This is that light fixture in the red that continues through the entire hallway, as well as the new walk-off carpet, display cases, and auditorium entry.
And this slide, we're just showing a close-up shot of the track light that creates that wayfinding path and just the excitement, which also like then leads you to the gym to the exciting project that we're working on in there. And the image like in the background just shows a precedent image of that track light that we are looking to specify in the project. And it will be in red, so that's why the red square's up there. Then the entry counter, a place where it could be used as a flexible space for ticket counters, anything with athletics or the arts for someone to approach there. And there's a cool lighting element at the bottom of the curve on the counter, which you can see in the top right. There's the details, and that's part of like a snippet of what happens in design development to get us to a place where we can do pricing. Yeah, and then the auditorium. So to the right and the left of the ticket counter area, there's the dark wood material that highlights every single entrance into the auditorium to have that elevated the same as the school pride color logos. And then above the auditorium, you can see below the lettering, it's a lit sign that gives the feel like if you were to go to a theater and that's just on a street and it's got some lighting in there to have that feel and flavor in the school font. And then this just shows a view of the display cases to the right and to the left of the ticket counter area, or to the right and left as you enter. And on the right side, those are just details like sections cut through, but the center image shows it's just a precedent of what the shelves would look like. They'd be glass shelves and they'd have rods coming out for those shelves to be on and the shelves to be adjustable should you need more than 2 shelves, which is what is shown on the left. And the monitors can be changing to whatever type of content that the school wants on them. We've got the walk-off carpet just showing what that could look like printed with the school logo on it.
So this is a view just by moving further down that hall. So we've got the concession stand right there on the corner with the new design. We've got the continuation of that light fixture and some new signage for wayfinding.
In the top left, this gives you a closer up shot of the visitor and the restroom signage, the vertical signage, that's the wayfinding to get to those spaces, as well as the pool at the end of the hall. And on the right, it's an example of what you see, the first elevation, the line, black and white line drawing right there, shows all the team photos that come, we put them in those snap frames so they can be changed every single year, depending on different teams for different years. And that nice cohesive look to get that all together. And then it pairs well with the digital screens that allow you to go through and look at past awards and teams. And the restrooms. This shows the restroom updates we're doing. The floor will remain as is. It's more of changing the counters, the sinks, and then the soap dispensers that'll be deck mounted onto that. It's a quartz countertop with the sinks integrated into them. And then above them, you've got mirrors that run the full height up, as you can see in the elevations. And that little picture to the right of the larger picture, it better represents like the lights that you will see in between each mirror. So lights are used a lot within the concept, out in the main areas as well in the restrooms, just to elevate the look of the design to meet the same look of the gym. So now we'll transition to Chad to cover cost opinion.
So we are showing high-level numbers at this point, categorized by the 5 different areas that are being touched. The main entry, the concessions, corridors, the pool wayfinding aspect, and restrooms. That is just north of $500,000. We've got a contingency in there as well. That represents the total then of that 561, almost 562, and then a recommended construction contingency. So you can look at this project as holistically as one large price, or you can, we purposefully broke it out so that you could pick and choose if you wanted to pursue just certain aspects of the project. Certainly, this project as a whole would be, attractive for a contractor to do over the course of a summer. The goal of tonight was to, provide some updates on where we think the costs are coming in at. And that's a big number. We realize we're seeing inflation takes its toll on projects. And so our numbers are conservative, but we want to just make sure that, everything's covered. There's no surprises. But again, the goal would be that if you're comfortable with this range of price, then we would continue to work with Mitch and Julie to hone in on the specific scope in each of these 5 areas, and then continue with construction documents. If you'd like us to do that, we feel like we could get construction documents ready for bidding for the fall time period, probably late October, early November, so that you could get bids and start to get materials procured over the winter time for a summer 2023 project.
So something that we are, what I would say is that we'd like to be able to proceed with the idea that we would be doing some bid alternates, that we do not envision moving forward at that cost. I would like to split the project up into some bid alternates so that we could do majority of the project, but then have some bid alternates that maybe down the road, if we wanted to add them, could. Because what we had allotted and that what we had shared in our work session and budgeting, we would try to match that number that we had in our budgeting. So, and have the rest of it in bid alternates. So that would be what my recommendation would be, is being able to move forward with that conversation and coming to you the next time with specifically the items that we would say we'd like to bid out, and then what our bid alternates would look like, and have you take action on that. But that would be my recommendation.
Well, my thought is
And budget.
to prioritize these items and probably not do them all at one time.
I would ask on the restroom front, what did you say was going to be done in the restrooms again for that 120?
Oh, yeah, good question. I didn't fully cover every single detail. So we would be putting tile on the walls. So doing that update. We would also be replacing the mirrors and the whole entire countertop to a quartz top with the sinks integrated into that. And then the soap dispensers on top of that as well, with the faucet in the bottom left. So there would be a lighting element also in between each mirror. No lighting overhead would be worked on. In the partitions, the restroom stalls. Is there any details I left out?
Grab bars, some
Oh,
accessibility.
some grab bars for, is it 2 of the stalls? Yeah, to bring those up to ADA.
Yes, my just comment on that is if we're not gonna kind of start all the way from scratch, in my opinion, on a bathroom front, that would be an easy one for us to say.
Yeah.
Focus on other aspects with that being $120,000.
Yeah, and I'm trying to
Still have to go up
remember,
and touch it up years later because we only did part of it,
It's
I
been
guess, but that's early. I get
yeah.
it. That's my comment.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Matt. And I'm thinking we upgraded bathrooms because of community requests to do so. Some years ago, I don't remember how many, but
I think we did one time,
And-
looking on the board.
John, do you want to speak to the bathrooms in that area?
well, it's been a while.
Yes, I would love to.
Speak to-
Shape of those bathrooms.
So as a former activities director, I'm really big on like what spaces we show off to our community when they come and visit. So those are kind of our showcase bathrooms as far as when people come here, they bring their kids here, they do their activities here. They're outdated, like anything, they get used and worn and struggle to keep up. I think they're fine. I mean, I don't think they're like unusable or anything like that, but when you talk about a place to showcase for our community members, that's kind of where everybody goes.
And that was pretty much the conversation that was had in the past. You know, we have a lot of people coming in and using those facilities, and they were in bad shape. I mean, they were.
Yeah, I would say our bathrooms over here are new. I mean, they're newer, they're nicer, but how often do we host community events on this side compared to the
Compared
other
to
side
that
of our
side.
gym? So it's just like anything else, keeping up with the updates, and we're gonna have a really high quality gym and it's gonna look beautiful, and it'll show even more that our bathrooms need to be updated once the gym is finalized.
Exactly.
I haven't
Redo
been
your
in there
kitchen.
for a while.
Something else looks bad.
Walking down.
Right.
Yeah, let's focus. Least embarrassing aspects.
But basically allowing us to be able to value engineer this even further is why I'm saying I'd like to be able to
Yeah.
do that and come up with some bid alternates, prioritize for you so that, again, we can hit the target that we had budgeted for and then go from there. But I'd like to be able to still pursue this. I don't want to drop it because I do think, to John's point, you know, we have this beautiful new remodeling project that is occurring now and we certainly wouldn't want to not extend that so that it looks like one cohesive building, so.
Any other questions or comments from board, or are you looking for approval on
I'm
this?
looking for a motion for us to move forward with value engineering and coming up with basically a prioritization of how we're going to proceed. Allow us to still continue the conversation with Tenfold. Gonna try to repeat it. Yeah.
We have a motion to proceed with some value engineering. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Excited to see what you guys come up with.
All right. Thank you.
All right, number 6, establish bid date for Hancock Drive extension.
So this is related to the previous presentation with our road project, just establishing that bid date of September 29th that Eric talked about.
Any questions on that? Otherwise, we'd entertain a motion.
I move to establish the bid date of September 29th at 2 PM for the Hancock Drive Extension Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, establish public hearing date for Hancock Drive extension.
So again, this is regarding the project that was presented, having that public hearing date of October 10th. Is that That's the date that we have, 2022 for that project.
I'll move to establish a public hearing date of October 10th, 2022 for the Hancock Drive Extension Project.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, 22-23 board goals.
This is something that we're just revisiting after we met in work session. Last month, we forgot to approve officially the board goals that we discussed. So you can see on the screen that this is what we had kind of tweaked to better match where we currently are with these goals. We had decided to maintain our focus on high reliability schools. Portrait of graduate, now that we have the logo, we still need to implement the actual competencies. So that was what was changed in our student achievement goal. Goal 2 was just to, again, reiterate transparency and positive communication with our community and our families. And then goal 3, we kind of lumped all of our capital projects into one and just said that we would continue and complete the board approved capital projects throughout the district in a timely and fiscally responsible manner and maintain the budget management goal. So that's what we had discussed during the work session. And so that's what we're asking for approval.
Questions or discussion? Anyone willing to make a motion?
A motion to accept the board goals for the upcoming year.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, Iowa Health Careers Registered Apprenticeship Contract Agreement.
So recently we had learned that we were recipients of a very large grant for our health careers registered apprenticeship. So I asked Don would be willing to share a little bit about that so that everyone, including yourselves, knows a little bit about what that's going to entail.
So as all of you know, we make a concerted effort to provide opportunities for our kids that are maybe outside of the typical norms or typical traditional school setting. And so we had been in meetings with the city and our fire department. And there's a need for EMT, EMS workers, both in our community and around the state of Iowa. There was an opportunity for us to start a program through DMAC to train students while they're in high school to end up having an opportunity to take an EMT class when they're done and be certified as long as they're 18 or 17 to work with our fire department here in town. Thank you. And so Jill Janes took the lead and wrote a grant to the governor's office. And we were the single largest, or our district was one of the single largest award winners because we were awarded on our own. There were some larger amounts of money awarded, but it was 2 districts that submitted grants in combination.
And it expands our CNA program as well.
Thank you.
We already had been working to provide opportunities for our students to get their CNA certificate, but this would expand what we currently offer.
Helps offset costs for the.
So it's also in conjunction with Boone Hospital as well as Mary Greeley. So not in addition to the EMT with fire department, it'll also be working with EMT with regard to the hospitals as well. So it would encompass numerous areas within our Boone and surrounding area. We did include the combination with Ogden that we have a new work-based learning coordinator. We did speak to that in this grant because we wanted them to know that we had built capacity to do more than what we had currently. So we were the sole district recipient, but we are also in combination with.
There are opportunities for students from Ogden to benefit from this as well.
Absolutely.
Is it open if other districts, let's say Madrid, wanted to have a student that was interested? Would they be able to come over?
Would ask that they enroll in Boone.
I wanted to know.
Ogden's unique because we have a shared position with them currently, that shared MLC,
Right.
which is gonna be great for our area.
Yeah, families have the opportunity to open enroll into the district, so that would be what we would suggest.
Even after the March 1st deadline,
Yes.
that doesn't exist anymore.
Right, good policy statement.
Why I wanted it said.
Any other questions?
So you're looking for approval of
The contract.
The contract.
So we can move forward with this, yeah.
I'll move to approve the contract
I'll
with
second.
the state.
We have a motion. Did I already hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a
Thank
second.
you.
Any other questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 10, board resolution to transfer funds from general fund to student activity fund. Mitch?
Yep, so last year due to COVID, the state allowed schools to transfer money from general fund to activity fund to help the accounts who failed to meet their financial needs as a result of COVID. Last year we moved 33,000. This year's calculation is $13,604.28. We have plenty enough carryover and increased balance in general funds, so we recommend approval of that transfer for this year.
Does this come from any of our COVID funding?
It's just out of the general pot.
It's just out of general.
Our COVID.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Our COVID funding is allocated out.
Okay. Thank you.
I move to recommend approval that funds of $13,604.28 in the general fund be transferred to the student activity fund to fund curricular or extracurricular activities that fail to meet the financial needs as a result of COVID-19 restrictions in the school budget year beginning July 1st, 2021.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Number 11, fiscal year 22 activity fund balance transfers. Mitch?
So this is another one of those annual action items we have every year. We make an entry over to clean out the negative accounts in our activity fund for the end of the year. If you look on it, you can see we have that transfer. You guys just made board approval on that. And then entries that we did for the negative accounts. Brett and I reviewed it with Julie, and we recommend approval of those transfers and the ending balances.
Discussion?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, resolution establishing Boone Community School District depositories. Mitch?
Yep, another annual action item. We have to list our annual depositories and our limits for deposit for those. So I recommend Vision Bank 25 million, UMB Bank 6 million, and ISJET $18 million for this next year.
Discussion?
Move to approve the Boone Community School District depositories as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Further questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, appointment of board secretary and treasurer. Julie?
So I would recommend the appointment of Mitch Lewis as the board secretary / treasurer for the Boone Community School District.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to Mitch as secretary and treasurer. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Ready?
You solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the board secretary and treasurer in the Boone Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
I do.
Congratulations, Mitch.
You're great in your role, Mitch.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Yep, you'll do great in your role.
That's where it's.
How many years do you have to stay now?
It's a 3-year.
One.
3-year goal.
We do it every year.
All right, number 14, out-of-state travel.
So our board policies require anytime we have staff traveling out of state for professional development, that comes before you as a board. So we have elementary teachers and principals that we would like to have attend the PLC Institute in Minneapolis, the 9th through the 11th, in alignment with our district goal to build collaborative teacher teams capacity for increased student achievement. So it's relating to our professional learning communities work. And that's the PLC workshop that I believe Boone has done for the last 6 years, actually. So that's what I would recommend we approve
This is budgeted someplace.
as part of our PD plan. Mhm.
How many people are we talking about?
Do you remember how many?
Dozen, maybe?
Dozen, 6 about
10.
each,
I bet they're each taking a.
Couple administrators
got
and
about,
6
yeah.
grade leaders.
5 or 6 teachers each.
Nice.
What we want to do, we want to do this every year so that anyone who hasn't been, we can make sure that we're keeping up so that you don't just send a group at the beginning and then you never keep the rest of your staff up to date.
Capacity there.
So we're rotating staff.
So we rotate the staff that go and after so many years, we'd like them to go back so that they have updates too. So. mhm.
To approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 15, legislative priorities.
Okay, so we need to determine the priorities that you as a board would like to move forward to IASB. So I believe you all have,
I have Pam and Pat.
you've got, okay,
I didn't know I knew, sorry. I have them. I just didn't.
okay, that's fine. So previously, we have just kind of shared the ones that you had prioritized. So do you want to just do it that way? How would you like to go about that? Just share out what each of you thought and then have a conversation around those that maybe we had differences? Okay,
Pat had teacher retention, local accountability, supplemental state aid and homeschool reporting. Pam's 4 was standards and accountability, preschool funding, school funding and policy, and expanding educational opportunities.
I had the supplementary state aid one, standards and accountability, so 2 of them are the same. And then I had the dropout and at risk, and then the teacher recruitment and licensure. It's my other 2,
What was your 3rd one? At risk dropout?
at risk dropout, yep.
I'm more so similar that I think,
Yeah,
I've got similar things and standards and accountability and then, so 2 and then number 20, supplemental state aid, same. Mental health parity, I don't know if we mentioned that one yet. Competitive wages goes along with teacher retention and everything, so I don't care which one of those, they're both needed. And then, school funding number 19.
So what,
At 2, 8, 14, 19, 20.
we definitely have a teacher retention
mhm.
as a
Yep.
common thread. What else we got running?
And 2. Standards and accountability.
Standard
I think
accountability.
3 of
Has
us have.
accountability and supplemental school aid.
Supplemental school aid. So we got 3.
So 16, 2, 20, and
What's
604?
teacher recruitment, dropout, state aid, standards and accountability.
I can't remember.
Sorry, I didn't put my number on them, sorry.
Jeremy, what was yours?
Trying to find it here. So we got 3 basically.
To recall.
Yeah.
So far we have 3, yeah.
The teacher recruitment, okay. Well, that takes care of my competitive wages. I mean, that's
Mhm.
very similar, so I'm willing to
Yeah, I would say it would be.
forego that one. We're talking same thing here.
I think we are.
Mental health was the one I had.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with mental health.
So accountability, teacher retention, supplemental
SSA.
state aid, and then mental health.
I can go with that.
I'm good with that too.
I'll get those submitted.
So I'm-
They need to make a motion on that, don't
Yep,
they?
need a
Yeah.
motion.
Need a motion to approve our priorities.
Yeah.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Ice Jet CDs.
As most of you guys know, the interest rates are skyrocketing in the past couple of months. It's good and bad. Good for us because we have a lot of cash and investments. I'm toying around with different scenarios on how much money we could put into CDs that we have in our bond account. From the proceeds, we got about $15 million in there. It'll last us till next year till we have the other bond to cover the loss. I'm thinking up to 3 million in 6 CD and 4 million in a 3 CD. That's estimated about another $114,000 earned on interest on today's rates. So that would help with our
Change orders.
and surprises that could come up. The daily rate, that's just our normal same pot that's increasing as well, but these CDs are quite a bit higher. We can't touch those funds. That's why I'm thinking if we do a little bit in each in a 6-month and a 3-month, it'll capture some of those higher interest rates, but then still get some more while it's sitting there to get paid out in the beginning of next year.
So you're talking about locking up roughly half of it, half of our money for 3 months to 6 months.
Yeah, and I rough about 2.5 million spent every month, which we're not even that far yet. We'll have enough money to not held up in CDs to pay for. So
These are conservative.
yeah.
I'll move approving the moving of $3 million to the ISJIT 6-month CD and $4 million into their 3-month CD as proposed.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion or questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, YSS Homeless Coordinator. Contract.
Actually, back up a second on that real quick. Just how often do we do something like that, or have we looked into doing that? Guess.
Well,
We haven't done it for a while because of
no.
interest rates.
last year, the interest rates are really well. We earned before the bond proceeds, we were earning quite a bit before COVID, and then COVID hit and it tanked. And now just in the past month and a half, they've been upticking quite a bit. So now it's trying to get a little more strategic with some investing.
I just wonder as with
I might bring some more up.
in this way, that's something we should maybe explore again here in 6 months. Just
I think
we got a lot of expenses and things coming up, but
once we get school started and get the bond sale done and going, I'll look at probably bringing some more to you guys for
We just,
approval. So,
and we just,
I'm gonna get that $4 million back.
so.
yeah, so you have to make sure you weigh it so that you make sure you don't
Fine line.
cash away that you can't touch when you need it. So that's why he was
Yeah.
conservative with what he chose.
have-
And we took a long time actually about what we would want to do to make sure that it was available
we
when we
have
needed it.
2 1-month CDs we can't touch for a month
Mhm.
in general and schoolhouse funds. Those get probably close to a little over 2 right now. So we have 2 CDs already we don't touch, but I will look at probably doing some more here in a little bit.
Let's just look at the 3 months' time, we'll have $4 million that'll be ready to come out.
Mhm.
So why don't we just look then and see where we stand from a budget, how much cash we still have on standby that we don't need quite yet.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, YSS Homeless Coordinator Contract.
Yes, so this contract is actually a result from a grant that we received last year. That was a 3-year grant. So I recommend approval of the renewal as presented because this would allow us to continue with what we started last year. It was, Kim would share with you that this has been an invaluable addition to our resources for our students and our families. So that partnership with YSS with regard to the homeless coordinator, Kim can only do so much when she's trying to teach students too. So this has been a very positive addition to our programming.
Discussion.
I'll move to approve the Boone homeless coordinator position because it's more of a problem in this community than people think.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Further questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, on to number 18, board policy, first readings. Julie, if you could quickly for anybody listening at home, since there's so many of these on there. We have first reading, second reading, and some to rescind. Could you just briefly explain our process for board policies and why these are on here, like our cycle for reviewing and why they might be, some of them being rescinded, that sort of thing?
Sure. So first of all, we do receive updates as laws change. So that's the first readings. When you see all of those under first readings, those are all results of law changes. And so we received updates from the Iowa Association of School Boards so that we can make sure our policies actually match the law that went into effect. So that's the first set of readings that we have this evening. When we do review board policies, we are required to review them twice. So you have a first reading and a second reading. So the second readings that are listed are there because we have already reviewed them once. There are times in conversation that it may be, perhaps you might say, hey, maybe we should tweak this or that. That gives you another opportunity to come back. That this particular time we did not have that because that's on the ones that were results of law changes. We aren't going to do that. We do need to review series. So you see the 800 series that was listed under second readings. Those need to be reviewed every 5 years. So that's something that you will see happening as well. So I think last year we did 100, 200, 300 series and 400 series. And so we're just working through this series to make sure that we've updated them at least every 5 years. And there are times because of law changes that you might have to update them more frequently than that, but the requirement is at least every 5. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
So action item 18 is first readings. Did everybody have a chance to go through them? Are there any questions or discussion?
Can we move to approve all 10 of them at once?
Yep.
I think they reflected the new laws well. They were clear and
It helped it simplify some of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't see any big problems with any of them.
no, especially, the open enrollment was probably the
Yeah,
biggest deal and they were very,
So I think the one thing I would want anyone listening to understand about open enrollment is that it didn't negate the need to still apply to the resident district and the district of choice, that application process still needs to take place, that both districts need to sign off on it. All that the law did was eliminate the March 1 deadline. So there's still a process in place that has to take place, and that there are still some reasons that a district may not be able to approve an open enrollment too. For example, space,
Yeah.
enough space. So that process still exists. And so
Yeah.
I just want to make sure people understand that process didn't disappear. The only thing that disappeared was that March 1 deadline. Mhm. And the waiting time for athletics did not get changed either. So anyone who opened.
That's still a 90-day.
Waiting time, yes, that's still in place.
I'll move to approve board policies as listed here, numbers 1 through 10 as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
second,
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion on board policies, the first reading set here? All those in favor, aye.
hi,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 19, board policies, second readings.
So again, we did review these once already. There were no further changes recommended, so I'm recommending that they be approved as stated.
We have a motion to approve second reading board policies. Is there a second?
second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 20, board policies to rescind.
So these board policies, there's a variety of reasons why some may be rescinded and others are being rescinded. One potential reason is because it's included in other board policies, so it was no longer needed. Or it's included in another document. I believe last time we talked about the reason why the bomb threat one would be removed is because it's part of our crisis plan that is approved already by the board in a different manner. So these are all policies that are either recommended to be rescinded by IASB or already located elsewhere in policy. And to avoid confusion, we're asking that we rescind them.
Any discussion on this set?
It's the second reading.
It's a second reading of it too,
Yep.
yeah.
I will move to rescind policies 1 through 8 listed under item number 20 as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Further questions or discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think that's it for action items on the superintendent report.
Actually, yeah, so building projects update. I just wanted to let everyone know. So our HVAC project, we know that because we're waiting on a particular part, that HVAC will be temporarily put into the portions of the 86 building for a couple of weeks before we're completely finished with HVAC project, but they are going to temporarily air condition the pieces that can't be otherwise. So technically we're delayed, but it's not that they're going to be without air in the music or art room or in our gym. But we have worked with John on how we're going to kind of feed that air conditioning in and temporarily while we wait for the part to arrive. And then the gym will be completed mostly when school starts. The part that will be missing is our acoustic wall panels. That is something that we've been told recently has an 8-week lead time once the colors are accepted. We're still waiting for the colors to all be accepted. So we know that the acoustic wall panels will not be up August 23rd. So what we will be doing is painting the design. Everyone has seen the logo with the cape. Well, if it were all completed, the acoustic wall panels take up part of that cape, and so instead of the acoustic wall panel initially, it'll just be paint. And then when the acoustic wall panels come, we'll put the acoustic wall panels up and it will still show the design with the acoustic wall panels. So we'll be louder than maybe we might anticipate in the end, but our sound block has those holes in it to help us sound anyway. So that's one thing. But the gym is not going to be 100% complete because we're waiting on the acoustic wall panels. Right now, they've been working to put in our bleachers, and they will be working and they also received our basketball backboards and things today. I believe that our scoreboards will go in on Wednesday now. We were hoping for today, but because we need the backboards to be up and the shot clock goes on the backboard. So that'll be Wednesday. And then the following week, we'll start with the lines on the floor and things like that. So we will have an update tomorrow with regard to our gym and HVAC projects. So I may be able to give more updates later, but that's where we currently stand. Our elementary project is still scheduled on time. We did put out, so if anyone's listening, we have our finalist 2 names that the community has decided on for our school. So that is open until the 15th. So people need to go and vote because that's what we will bring to the board is whichever name is the community's decision. So we will bring that to the board in August.
And those 2 choices are?
Are Ledges Elementary or Willow Trail Elementary.
And where can people go to vote?
They can vote. It's on the Facebook, or it should be on our Facebook page for sure. I know it's on the Lincoln page, Facebook page, because we had 231 votes within 20 minutes. So, and then the Tour Times is going out tonight. So I think that's probably in that now, but look at Facebook, look for those.
Saw it last.
Yep.
Facebook, just want to make sure. everyone-
Yep.
Something new
On
where.
Facebook, yep. Go to Facebook and vote. We will be making sure that that they are unique email addresses. So people need to know that if they're going in and voting several times, it's still only going to count once. So please vote, but there's no need to vote more than once because it won't count. So make sure that that's done. Did I forget about any update? I think our HSAP and our futures building is progressing as of right now. We still believe we're getting the building on December 1st. So hopefully that continues to stay the same. So I think we're on target with that. I think we're okay. Any questions that I might have forgotten to answer? Okay. And really the building projects is what I wanted. And maybe just to reiterate for our parents to check the corridor times for our orientation times. The high school, the freshmen have theirs tomorrow night, and middle school is 18th. So look for the orientation times. I know that's usually, on the kids' minds, if not the parents' minds, on when to participate in that. And then if you have not registered as community members, that's for elementary conferences, you really need to have that done because that's going to help. And then that's also helping our transportation because we can only count on the people that have let us know that they needed that. And if you haven't registered, we don't know that. So
How can they go about registering?
they can go and register, go on our website, and is the only thing you see is register here. And you just click on the register button and walk through it. So it really does not take long. We have about 87% of our families have done so. We still need about 13% to do that. So we really need that. And then a reminder that if you're interested in having free and reduced lunch applications, to go ahead and do that because the breakfast and lunch are no longer free. So that's the reminder.
Put a plug in for Friday Food Friends.
Absolutely.
We are going to do that again this year for preschool through 4th grade.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll pair that up with the
Those applications. So
reduced, yeah.
And one other question I have is if you're a parent,
Mhm.
a little bit computer shy,
Mhm.
or doesn't have access to the computer, can those parents go to whichever school their child is going to go to and register, or should they come up to the main
they
office?
should come to central office at this point. Our elementary secretaries are just getting started on contract. They don't start till tomorrow anyway. So probably the best would be to come to central office, and anyone in central office can walk them through the registration process.
Okay.
Mhm. Thank you. Yes, and we have had several families do that and have been able to be done when they leave. So thank you.
Anything else, Julie?
No,
We have a motion to adjourn? So moved. All those in favor, aye?
All right.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.